Hi, everybody. It's Claudia from We're Just Two Sisters. And thanks so much for taking the time out of your busy day to come and check out another video. This one is just so much fun. I am really thrilled to take you on a little walkthrough of what I call the Victorian Fairy Journal. And it is just really, really pretty. And I think you're going to enjoy walking through it as much as I enjoyed making it. So this is a hardcover book. It actually measures 8¼ by 5¼ It has about a 1-inch spine. I'll show that to you. A little over an inch, about 1¼ inch. And it is just packed full of wonderfulness, all about fairies and Victorian uh, memorabilia, and I just absolutely love it. In fact, this was one of those ones that I was like, oh man, do I list this on the Etsy store, or I just keep this one for myself? And I decided to go ahead and share the love and list it on Etsy. So let's take a walkthrough. So this is put together with a really pretty white kind of sheer ribbon here. And this ribbon is detachable, so you can leave it on if you choose, or you can take it off and replace it with one that you prefer. So this book cover I wanted to keep as much of the background as I possibly could because it was just so pretty. So it's embossed in the hardcover book, and it's on both the front and the spine. The spine has this really pretty design that I wanted to keep intact and let you be able to see as much as that as possible. On the front, it has this beautiful Victorian illustration of a fairy and this lovely old vintage doily, some really pretty flowers. And again, I wanted to keep this cover relatively simple because I did not want to take it away from the beauty of the background of the actual book. On the back, it also has a similar drawing or illustration of a Victorian fairy, and the paper that is attached to and sewed to is actually sewn on as well. So as you can see, there's some really pretty lacy edges to the pages. There's a lot of pages in this one. There's 2 signatures, as you can see. They're sewn in. And let's go ahead and open her up. So on the inside cover is this lovely illustration here. I just love that guy's clapping, I would assume. And there's a pocket on the side with a rusty heart. Inside that pocket, there are 3 little cards. Everything in this one has to do with fairies. There's a birthday fairy, and as you can see, this guy's kind of perched on top of a mushroom. And these are all photographs or illustrations, not really photographs, but illustrations and drawings that come from books that I have. I've been an avid fairy collector most of my life, and so I have a lot of books, and I have just come to the point recently where I am actually using some of those books. So this is what's called a slit pocket. In the slit pocket, there are several cards. There's some little stamps. And on the side here, it says Fairy Garden. In here, there's this lovely vintage, I would say Victorian fairy. Some little stamps. And these things can just be placed inside the little slits and arranged in pretty much any way that you would like to arrange them. I like to kind of spread them out a little bit. And pretty easy to get in there and move around. And you'll find that this book has a lot of different types of pages, and I'll kind of explain that as I go through. But there's some craft paper. There is my own stencil coffee dyed pages, and I'll kind of point that out as we go through. The signature is sewn in and then attached to the spine, so it's very durable. I kept the background of the inside covers intact on the book. I just thought they were very pretty and very vintage. There's a lot of writing space and blank space in this journal, so you can continue to embellish the pages yourself. You can use these to write on, to attach things that you would like to see in your journal. And as you can see, some of this is coffee dyed paper that then I have stenciled over, which I thought came out really pretty. There is some old vintage stationery. There is graph paper. There are maps. There are old book pages. This is a corner pocket that has this really pretty card, journaling space on the back, and then yet another little flower fairy, Jack by the Hedge. I love those little flower fairies. Here's a page that I really loved. This came out of a book that I had that was about sprites. And I placed this little fairy here, kind of looking over the edge, and then a writing implement down here. It says, "Now please to remember that it is a fairy who writes the story, a real fairy, just as real as you are yourself. Because if you don't remember, it will make me scold like anything." And I thought this was kind of a good illustration to go with that little saying. Some really pretty craft paper that on the back has this lovely, kind of parchment paper look to it. Blank pages, vintage music pages. And here's a page that I decorated and embellished with this lovely fairy. She has like some special box in her hand. And then I made this little pocket. It says Imagine here. And I've added these 3 really beautiful fairy illustrations that go just right down into this pocket. There's some blue paper, blank pages, craft paper, more stencil dyed coffee paper. I love this side. I thought it came out really pretty. Here is, again, some vintage paper. This is His Excellency, the Right Honorable Charles Robert Baron Cunnington. I've tried to put like a lot of different textures, a lot of different types of designs, some more music pages. Here's a page that I actually cut out this little paper doll girl. I attached wings, and then I made her a dress out of cloth and embellished that with some kind of little blingy stuff, some flowers, some little blingy flowers here, some ribbons and some lace. And here's the center of the first signature. In this belly band, we have this little tablet, has this adorable picture of the fairy on the mushroom grooming herself in the mirror. If you turn it over, it has a pocket here. The pocket contains this little card with the fairy on the bubble with butterflies. It has a really pretty design on the back that is the same paper as is used for the pocket. I've put some of my vintage linen on the top of this one. And when you open it up, you'll see that it is a tablet at the bottom. And there's lots and lots of writing space in this little tablet. And then on the top, there's a little card that opens up, has a pocket here with a little fairy tag. And here it's just kind of a little excerpt from a book. And I scolded the fairies for hours and hours. When I went to my palace, I scolded the pages. When I sat on my throne, I went into rages. I scolded the birds as they sang in their cages. Just a little like I said, a little excerpt out of a book. And when you open this up, there's actually an envelope here. The envelope has this lovely card. All of these came from a vintage fairy book that I talked myself into taking apart. And here's some mushrooms here. And this simply closes like this, the little envelope. This side closes like this, and then it just folds down to make your tablet. And this tablet goes right down into this pocket or this belly band. It's easier than it looks. There we go. Just got to get the right angle. And this is also embellished with a pretty little white flower, and there's a glitter design here on the side of this page. Lots more room. And I've actually sewn my signatures in with this really cool kind of whimsical yarn that I thought matched so well with the glitter page. Let's keep going. More blank space. And you'll see that pretty much all of the lace in this one is very vintage, very unique lace. And it is all sewn on to the edges of the pages. You can see here, you can see the stitching on this side for the lace on that side. So it's pretty much all stitched in and glued on with Fabri-Tac, so it's very durable, and all of my journals are definitely meant to be handled. They're made to be very sturdy. Here's a corner pocket, more of that book that has the flower fairies. In this one, there's a couple of little cards. These are fairies that look like they are creating this lovely dress, kind of like Cinderella fairy, I guess. And here's when it says a temper is really a fairy. I'd never heard that before. That's interesting. More craft paper, the other side of that little page that we saw earlier. Here's some more of the vintage coffee dyed paper with my stencils on it. And what we're seeing is mostly the other sides of some of the pages we've already looked at. Here's a really pretty page with the craft paper background, and I've attached this beautiful little fairy here, and then I put this flower on the top of her head. Here's a pocket that says, "But she flew straight to the rook's nest." Inside the pocket is a little envelope. When you open the envelope, it has two little cards in it. Ground ivy fairy and pink fairies. Journaling space on the back of those. This journal would be, a perfect gift for yourself, or you may know someone who is just really fond of fairies, or even a child. There's really nothing in this journal that would be offensive or harmful for a child. So I think this would make a perfect gift for a young lady that really loves fairies. Here's a little belly band that when you remove this tablet, it is this lovely picture on the front of fairies hugging. Has a pocket with this little stamp. On the back is the just plain craft paper. I've embellished this with some really pretty gold trim. You can kind of see even on the side here how nice that looks. And then when you open this up, on one side it's a little pocket with some stamps, fairy stamps, and on the other side is a little tablet. So as you can see, there's all kinds of little hidden places where you can write your stories, write down your ideas, your hopes and dreams and memories, just all kinds of things. More graph paper, really pretty other side of that piece of stationery. Ah, little sweetheart, the romance of life, with all its chains and chants, is but a sealed book to thee. Here's a really beautiful fairy that I wanted to really stand out. So I decided to cut her out really closely, what we call fussy cut. and then to put her on a background that would just really make her pop out. And I think I've accomplished that there. Here is the center. You can see where the signatures are sewn in. So that is the end of the first signature. The second signature starts here. And as you can see, it has this beautiful blue lace that's sewn on, and you can see the sewing stitches on the other side, which I really like. I think it looks really cool. Another corner pocket with 3 little cards. Very Victorian fairies here. They're like little postcards. Another beautiful fairy in blue. Adjacent to her is a page that has a slit pocket. As the background, there is a book page out of a Tooth Fairy book that I had. And the slit pocket has lots of fun little things in it. It has little cards, little tags. Here's a page out of that Tooth Fairy book. The image of a beautiful winged woman. Can she really fly? I believe that she can. You know, and these journals, junk journals, art journals, whatever you want to call them, you know, they're a place for you to just be a kid again, or a place for you to record memories and thoughts and ideas and notes to younger self and notes to children and loved ones for the future that can be handed down for generations. And, you know, what a gift that is to write down your thoughts and your dreams and even memories of your grandchildren growing up that someday they'll look back on and just be so thankful and grateful that you left that for them. So here's a really neat pocket. Visit Snow Queen's Palace. Very Victorian. And in this is yet another little writing tablet. They were my working fairies, dressed in their green working smocks. He's got a little pickaxe in his hand, and when you open it up, there's a graph paper tablet. Has quite a bit of writing space here, probably 15 or so pages. A pocket at the top, the card, and that lovely fairy. And this one just slips down into this pocket, which is sewn around the edges. And you can leave it actually hanging off the edge a little bit because it has a really nice orange ribbon there that looks good hanging over the edge. More graph paper, more blank pages, art paper, craft paper, all kinds of different music paper. And I really loved this fairy sitting on the toadstools. She just fit perfectly, sitting on the toadstool with her feet on the edge here. And I put these wings on her. They're kind of iridescent. And then I attached this little butterfly sticker. Looks like she's trying to catch him. So that just all came together so nicely, as if those elements were meant for each other. And it's just so nice when that happens. More stencil dyed paper. Here's a page out of a book that I really loved the illustration, the more of the stencil dyed coffee dyed paper. Here's a piece that I just loved so much that I wanted to incorporate it into this journal. So I weaved a little piece of orange ribbon through this and just made a fun background for you if you wanted to write on this or if you wanted to add some more elements yourself. Here's a fun pocket. I love to make these little pockets. They're 1, 2, 3, 4 pockets, and it's actually sewn around the edges. Each pocket has a place where you can put things inside the pockets. You can have them hang over if you like. Each pocket is fairly deep, so you can put quite a few things into the pockets. I've got tickets and stamps, and here's an old vintage little illustration. and some mushrooms. There's just all kinds of fun things in here. And all of these things can be removed if you don't like them. They can be replaced. They can you can add your own touches to any of these pockets. And here I've put this on top of some vintage coffee dyed linen. I've put this little Choose Happy. This is really fun. I found these little coasters in a thrift shop, and I always buy things that I know somebody handmade. And you can see the stitching around these. I think they were coasters, but I thought they would just make awesome little pockets. So I glued this one on. You can see that there's the slit here for the pocket. And in that pocket, I've put this little fun tablet of the fairies swinging. Inside, there's a pocket and a tablet. It says, "May you touch dragonflies and stars, dance with fairies, and talk to the moon." In the back, there's a little pocket with a little flower fairy card. And, you put anything that you like in this little pocket, but this little tablet just seemed to fit so perfectly. This side, there's a little receipt, an old receipt, more stencil dyed paper, which I thought was so whimsical that it just seemed so nice in this journal. Here's another torn off little page piece, an illustration from that Tooth Fairy book that I wanted to incorporate. And this is a very pretty pocket. So on the outside, the pocket has this really pretty paper and a corner pocket. The corner pocket has a tag with the little fairies marching. And this little tag, the little girl and the ducklings, and there's some little fairies just hiding around the edges here amongst the mushrooms. It's embossed with some really pretty scroll embossing. And then when you pull this out, there is yet another little tablet. This one's a little bit different. It's put together with 2 holes punched at the top and secured by a piece of satin ribbon. Has the mouse and the fairy having a wonderful conversation. And inside the tablet is graph paper, a little writing tablet. A great place to tell a story. Or on the back is this lovely butterfly. And this has a room to hang over the edge, so it makes it very simple to take out and in. And then all the colors just work, so lovely together on the background of some vintage sheet music. This is the center of the second signature. Has this lovely fairy here, kind of looking down, positioned in the corner here of this really pretty background. There's a belly band here with, yes, you guessed it, another little tablet. And each one is unique and different. And this one has this lovely fairy that is playing a harp. Has some purple lace on the edge. Nothing on the back because I loved the paper. Inside it has this lovely fairy mermaid. The fairy of the sea, they say. She just goes down into this little pocket. The pocket has a pretty purple ribbon there in the corner. And then the pages in this one are this just really pretty daisy paper, which is can easily be used to write on top of. You can see it very well. It goes on that little shiny, blingy band there. Here's a corner pocket that has, I love these 2 cards. This one is so pretty. It's a fairy ballerina, and this one is the fairy writing on the, I guess it's a bee. Maybe not a bee. It doesn't look like it has bee wings, but an insect. And then I thought it was so cute the way this little fairy here, which I've embellished with some little bling here, looks like she's looking up at that beautiful ballerina fairy. This is one of my favorite pieces in this. It's a specimen card, and I love to make these. And this specimen card goes down into this belly band that is embellished with some little rivets on the side, as is the specimen card. It says, "My conscience will no longer let me keep you all to myself." So it's a specimen card, and it has some little numbers over here on the side. And behind it, I have taken this Victorian woman and given her wings and placed her in behind the cellophane on the specimen card. It's a fun little unique piece for this journal. More lace on the edges, more stencil dyed and blank pages. This pocket here is really unique. It's some butterflies that I've placed over some really unique and pretty paper here that almost looks like it's also stencil dyed with some leaves sewn all the way around the edges here. And I've included this lovely postcard that I made. And on the front of it, it's some writing. It's not in English, so I could not tell you. Perhaps it's French, but I could be wrong. And I've also included this little fairy and some lace on the side. And this pocket could hold more things, so you could always add more to it. Has a little pull here on the side that makes it easy to pull out the little element that's in there. And here's one of my favorite things in the world, a hummingbird. As you can see, I love hummingbirds. I'll show you this. I have hummingbirds on my arms. And this has a little pocket here that's this beautiful fairy. She actually was bearing her breasts. So because I said this journal could be also for children, and I know some people are sensitive to things like that, I went ahead and covered parts of her up with some lace. And I don't think that it takes away from the photo or the drawing, but nor do I think that it is in any way offensive. So in there's this wonderful little folio, has this green flower on it, has a little handle here. And when you open it up, these are some actually photographs of some fairies that I made not too long ago, fairy dresses that I made and sold as a custom order for a lady who wanted fairy dresses to frame for her daughter's bedroom. And so I took the liberty of taking some photographs of the front of those. You can see that they had some little embellishments on the corners, and each one has a handmade dress. And that's just a little folio, and it goes right down into this pocket. This is kind of a foil type material. I don't know if you can see it, but it's very shiny and very pretty and reflective. Almost to the end here. Here's a fun pocket that has 3 elements in it. It has this little blank card or tag that you can put your own little picture in. It has this fun little card with the fairy writing on the deer. And I've attached a little iridescent star to that. It has some pretty paper on the background. And then I've also included a bookmark with a fun little tassel, an owl on the back. And the bookmark is sewn down the edge, and that can go anywhere in your book. It's a great way to bookmark your page if you were writing something or one just wanted to save a particular page. This is the fairy dance. It happens on that special night when the moon is full and big and bright. Queen Clarion dons a magic crown. The fairies put on their finest gowns. Then they all gather in a ring and dance and twirl and start to sing, to celebrate another month of friendship, laughter, joy, and love. And I could not resist my favorite fairy. I had to put a little bit of Tinkerbell bling in here. So I've made this little bookmark as well. And I added these fun little sequins to it. That can go anywhere in your journal. And this also has a little card in it. I thought it was fun when I looked at this that these gentlemen up here, the little bird guys, were actually reading the fairy dance. And the very last page has this fun little feather trim here, and it has this adorable little guy hopping through a flower bed. And then, as I showed you, the back of this journal is similar to the front, with a very vintage Victorian photo, or I'm sorry, illustration of a Victorian fairy. So I hope that you've enjoyed this video. I had so much fun making this journal, of course, because I love fairies. But I hope that you've gotten some inspiration for yourself to possibly make your own fairy journal. Or if you are interested in purchasing this one, it will be available on the Etsy store for as long as it lasts. And I'm grateful and blessed that people love our journals and they don't last very long. So if you would like to purchase it, you can do so on www.we'rejusttwosisters.etsy.com. And again, that's www.we'rejusttwosisters with the number 2.etsy.com. And there'll be a link to that in the description on this video. If you like the video and you like our YouTube channel, just give us a like. It certainly helps. Same with our Etsy store. If you like it, just click the little like button or follow us, because there's always something new on our Etsy store. Things sell quickly, but every week we're adding something new. So hopefully you will get what your heart desires. Thank you again so much for taking the time to check out We're Just Two Sisters, and I hope you have a wonderful day.